Welcome to Astro Venture, the DSLR astrophotography channel. Hey there, Astroventures. Welcome back. If you're new to this astrophotography channel, my name is George, and this is the astrophotography channel for DSLR or mirrorless camera bodies, combined with the lenses we already own and a simple star tracker like the Skyguider Pro or Star Adventurer. For this particular video, we're going to do a quick and dirty on stacking your images in Deep Sky Stacker. And for today's tutorial, we are going to be using this image of the body of the Cygnus constellation. And over here on the left-hand side, this is the star Deneb. And then over here, this is the star Satyr. And combined, this was the intended target, all of these nebula within the body of the Cygnus constellation. Now, this image has been stretched and processed. The original image that it generates looks more like this, but we're not going to get into all of the processing in this particular video today. All we're going to do is work with putting your images into Deep Sky Stacker so that you can generate the TIFF that's needed. So to get started, first we're going to open up Deep Sky Stacker. This is Deep Sky Stacker 4.2.6. That is the version that I am using at this time. Now to get started, up here in the left-hand corner, we're going to be clicking on Open Picture Files. This is going to be the actual images of the intended target. And for myself, this was the Cygnus constellation. I've already ran this once. You'll notice there's an autosave of this file. We're not going to be selecting that. What I will be doing is selecting all of the images of the target. Now, before I put these into this folder to use for Deep Sky Stacker, I had already proofed each one of the images to get rid of any images where for whatever reason I had some stars streaking across, or just the image didn't look right, or possibly a cloud came into the field of view. So these are my good images. I've already proofed these. So as you can see, I've selected all of them, and this is my Cygnus body nebula, and these are my lights, the actual images of the nebula. And I'm going to click Open. It will then bring in those images and it puts them down here in the bottom. Now you'll notice that they're unchecked. Over here on the left hand side, I am going to need to click Check All. That way it tells the program to use all of these images. Next, up here on the left hand side, I'm going to go to the next line, Dark Files. Dark files are the images that you shoot using the exact same settings that you were using for your actual photograph images, the images of your target, except you have placed the lens cap on. So these are your dark images. For this particular one, I'm going to grab all of my darks, but you'll notice I have a master dark down here. This is because, as I said, I've ran this once before, and when you do run it, it generates a master file, but we're going to pretend that's not there. I will select all of my darks. Remember, these are the same exact settings as your images of the target, just with the lens cap put on. Ideally, I like to have an hour's worth of data. I don't always get it, but I try for at least an hour of it. I'm now going to click Open. It will move those files down below. Next line, these are going to be my flat files. These images are using the same settings that you shot your photograph images of your target, except you've kicked your camera over to aperture priority, and you then let the camera choose what shutter speed. Now you'll notice that these are bluish in tint. Reason being is these were actually photographs of a white screen, specifically a blank white image in Photoshop, using the white balance setting that the images were shot under for the camera. So everything remained the same, except I kicked the camera over to aperture priority. I let the camera choose the shutter speed. And then I took 25 images of the white screen, and this seems to work for me. I'm happy with 25 images. And then I'm going to click open again. I'm ignoring this master file. This wouldn't be here, except I'd already ran it once before. Okay, it moved all of those images down. I'm now going to come over here to dark flat files. On the images that we had previously moved in, the flats, that was shooting into a white screen, you're going to take note of what shutter speed the camera had selected for those flats that were the light ones, and you're going to put your camera back over to manual, put the lens cap on, and now that you're back into manual, you're going to set your shutter speed to whatever speed it was that the camera had chosen for when you were photographing into the white screen. And you will take 25 of those images. So I will go through here and select them, again, ignoring the master because I have already ran this once. I will click open. That will move those down below. And finally, I'm going for my offset bias. And your offset bias, these are the last images that I shoot, keeping all of the camera settings exactly as they are in the camera. You're now going to set your shutter speed to the fastest that the camera can shoot. For this particular camera, it shoots at 1/4000th, and I then shot 25 of these images. So we'll move through, again, ignoring that master because this has already been ran. I will click open, and it moved these files down below. And down below here, you can go through and you can see all the different files have been added. Okay. Next, we're going to move over here to the left-hand side where it says Register Checked Pictures. We're going to open this up. And this top one here will normally be unchecked. I always go ahead and check it. And what that line is register already registered pictures. I tell it to go ahead and do it because sometimes I process these images more than once and I don't want to possibly mess myself up on something. On here it says select the best 90% pictures and stack them. I'm actually going to change this to 100, and the reason being is that I already went through and proofed and deleted all of my bad images from the actual photograph images that were shot. So I'll change that to 100%. Next, I'm going to move over to the Advanced tab. Over here on this slider, you're going to move this left and right, and we'll start off here at 47%. And what this is going to do is it's going to count the number of detectable stars, good strong stars, and those are used for alignment in the stacking process. At this point, it's registering 1,177 stars. That's way too many because, well, it's unnecessary to go that high in this number of stars being used for the alignment. Ideally, most people go for about 200. I do the same. So I slid the slider more to the right, and that will delete more of the stars. I'll rerun this, see what it tells me. Okay, I'm at 567 stars again. Way more than I need. I'll move this over. Now this will vary from image to image or I should say target to target as to what you're going to shoot. Some targets have a lot more stars than others because this target was out of the, shooting directly into the Milky Way. There's an overabundance of stars where with many other images where you're not shooting into the Milky Way belt itself, you won't have so many stars and your slider would be further over to the left. So this one's clocking in right now at 178 stars, and honestly that's plenty for what we're going to be doing here. Roughly, like I said, about 200 is what I go for. Now at this point, I will click OK. The program will make its recommendations and set it up as to what it thinks is best for the target that you have given it. Truth be told, I really don't know of many people that get in there and mess with any of these settings. And I don't either. I leave it just the same as it is. The program is really quite smart and has never really failed me. The only time, and I can't say that it's the program failing me, the only time it has failed is where I've got in and started messing with things and I actually did more harm than good. So at this point, I'll just leave it at the settings that it chose, and I'm going to tell it OK. It will now start the process. Initially, this program will tell you projected time, 2 hours, 38 minutes or something. Honestly, I've never seen this program take even a quarter of the time that it projects. Now, maybe that's because I'm not using a dinosaur of a computer, but truth be told, I've never had it take anywhere near the estimated time. And what I find is, start this up and just kind of float in and out of the room as you take care of other things and just kind of keep checking on the computer. So at this point here, I will just turn off the mic for the moment, let it continue, and rejoin you once it's generated an image. Okay, it's generated the image. Putting it together. Now, don't worry, the data is in there. This is, pre-processing. You really have to pull out what's hidden in those shadows, but this is the initial. And as I said, after we save this, it's not even going to look this good. It really comes to life when you do your processing. Okay, so now that we have this, we're going to come over here to Save Picture to File. And you're going to choose where you're going to save it. For myself, I am saving this under Cygnus Body Nebula. I'm going to put a name to this. And I'm actually just going to name this Demo because this is for the purpose of this demo. Next, you're going to want to make sure that your TIFF file, I suggest saving it as a 16-bit, which is what I have. You can save it as 32-bit, but the thing is that in Photoshop, you're going to work with it as a 16-bit, and so I haven't found the need or necessity to save it in 32, so I just leave it at 16. Probably the most important part is down here where there's the options. You do not want to apply adjustments to the saved image. Reason being is it will it will use the adjustments that the program suggests and recommends. And when you start stretching your data, my particular camera, as I start to stretch the data, gives me a grid showing up in my images, and it's an uneven exposure of light and dark in this grid. Other people have lines show up, different things for different people. Just don't do it. You'll want to select this one down here, embed adjustments in the saved image, but do not apply them. And so I'm going to go ahead and do that. Click Save. It saved the TIFF file. Before I close this, I like to go to the location and make sure that it is there. Here it is, Demo TIFF. I saved it in the Cygnus Body Nebula. So it's good. I'm going to come over here. I'm going to go ahead and close the program. It's going to ask me if I want to save any of this. I don't feel the need. I've never had to. So I'll go ahead and close that. Next, I'm going to open up Photoshop, and although this is not a photo editing video, this is just showing you how to use Deep Sky Stacker. I'm going to show you just a quick couple things so that if you use this video to stack your images in Deep Sky Stacker, you know where to go next. But I'm not going to get into the full effect of doing my editing and processing. Okay, so I have Photoshop open, and I'm going to close this out. This is one of my plugins. Okay, here we go. I'm going over to my demo. I'm going to grab that, drag that into Photoshop, let it open. This is going to open it up in Camera Raw, and I'm just going to open it and send it right into Photoshop. Okay, and first thing I'm going to do is duplicate so that I have this original layer that I'm not going to mess with. And one of the things that I have found, and it's worked very well for me, is you tend to often find a color casting in your images. I've recently learned of this and started using it, and it seems to be making my images a lot better. And let's see here. So I'm going to go to Image Adjustments, slide down here to Match Color, and then over here in this Match Color window, there's Neutralize. And I'm going to walk you through that one more time. So that was Image Adjustments, Match Color, and then I click Neutralize, and then OK. And what it will do is it'll take out the color casting. Now, the camera that I shoot with most of the time is a full spectrum full spectrum camera, and so I tend to end up with a lot of red cast across my images. This tends to neutralize it. Not going to say it works every single time for me with kind of neutralizing any color casting, but so far it's worked very well for me. Now again, as I said, I'm not going to be doing a full edit, but I'm going to show you the basic stretching process that you're going to go through. And I am using a PC. I apologize, I couldn't tell you the shortcuts for a Mac, but I'm going to hit Control L to bring up my levels. Here you'll have red, green, and blue. I'm going to go to red. And you can see here my red on the histogram here is way over here on the left side. And what I'm going to do is start a process of bringing this over and then enter. I'm going to do it again, Control L, and you'll notice this has changed. I'm going to go back to the red, and now you'll notice it's way over here. Now I'm going to grab the left-hand side, bring it over, bring this back, and basically what I'm doing is I'm working at getting these two markers at the base of the hill in this best representation of a histogram. I mean, that's what it is. And then I'm going to hit OK. And you'll notice that this is starting to get, starting to show itself. It's starting to reveal. Don't worry about the red. The reason why you're seeing specifically the red is because that's all we're working with right now. And we'll continue to go through that process. Eventually, once I get this stretched out like I want, and all three of the red, green, and the blue histograms are stacked on top of each other, it will then start to give you a more natural and correct looking color. I'm just going to do the red today. You can see I'm just going to pull this over a little bit more. And here we go. Okay, so now you're looking at the red. I've got this nice peak up and down. And I will go through that stretching process with the green. I'll do the stretching process with the blue. And eventually all three will line up on top of each other like this. And at that point, you will have your color back like it should look. Again, right now I'm revealing all of the red because that's all I'm working with. When you start to work with the green, you're going to get a heavy green color cast. And then when you start going into the blue, that'll start to neutralize it. And then from there, you'll have your image revealed and you'll be able to get in and continue with your further editing. This was just a quick down and dirty to show you how to reveal it, and then from there you can edit. In a future video, I'll go through my entire editing process of this image. But in the end, after all of my processing was done, let's see here. This, as it opens itself, was my finished image. And all of it starts off with that basic process of working through the levels. Control L on a PC. I apologize that I cannot tell you what that is on a Mac. While this is opening up, if you like the video content that you've seen, please crush that like button and subscribe and ring the bell so that you're notified each time that we have a new video appearing. Generally, those videos go up each Friday. And here is that final image after the neutralizing of color, stretching the red, stretching the blue, stretching the green, stretching the blue, and then going in and tweaking and adjusting individual colors within this image. Well, I hope this helps you out and gets you through the Deep Sky Stacker. Consider, again, like I said, like it, subscribe, ring the bell, and until next time, my name is George. I wish you clear skies and uneventful nights.